Frisco, Texas teenager KARMELO Anthony, who just a few months ago unalived another Frisco, Texas teenager by the name of Austin Metcalf, was indicted today by a Texas grand jury on the count of, get ready, first-degree murder. Let's talk about what that means right now. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here for the Renegade Nation. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many watching this video not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias. And of course, please do leave a comment with your thoughts on this video below before you head out the door today. This from Fox News: Austin Metcalf's suspected killer indicted on first-degree murder charge in track meet stabbing. Let's get into it. The 18-year-old suspect in the stabbing death of Frisco, Texas track star Austin Metcalf was indicted by a grand jury Tuesday for first-degree murder. And here's the press conference from District Attorney Willis following the grand jury verdict for a first-degree murder charge against KARMELO Anthony.
Good afternoon. Earlier this spring, our community was shaken by what happened at a school track meet in Frisco, the violent loss of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. For weeks now, my team has been presenting evidence to the grand jury, and today I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against KARMELO Anthony, which they did. With this indictment, the case now moves formally into the court system. From this point forward, we'll continue doing our job both fully and fairly to pursue justice under the law. As for the scheduling of the trial, that will be up to the court. But when the time comes, we will be ready. Now, we know that this case has struck a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. And that's understandable. When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves. We're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, your prayers as well. Finally, let's remember that a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
All true, but let's talk about the reality of the situation and the facts insofar as we know them to this point. Now, certainly there will be quite a bit more evidence that will come out during the trial, and obviously at this point there will be one considering the verdict of the grand jury. There was some question up to this point as to whether or not KARMELO Anthony would be able to successfully mount a self-defense argument here. Well, he certainly still can. He is certainly still entitled under the law to make that case, but apparently the grand jury here in Texas, well, they decided that there was enough evidence, there was enough probable cause to proceed with formal charges. And the charges that they delivered were of the most severe nature possible under Texas state law. You would have to presume that the grand jury thought they saw enough evidence there that this should be sent to a regular jury in a court trial to let 12 good folks decide whether or not KARMELO Anthony, in this case, according to their verdict of first degree, well, acted with intent. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I've never pretended to be a lawyer. But for those of you who have watched me on YouTube for nearly 5 years on the main channel, you know, well, why I wear this Sig Sauer hat. I've been a concealed carry handgun permit holder for more than half my life, over 25 years. Now, that doesn't make me an expert in the law, but it does put me in a bit of a unique position for a lay person to explain some of the realities here. The problem with this entire story from the get-go were the circumstances that we heard immediately after the events that led to Austin Metcalf's death. There was a rainstorm at a track meet. There were tents set up. KARMELO Anthony allegedly entered a tent that belonged to another high school, the high school that Austin Metcalf and his twin brother and all of their friends went to and were underneath during the storm. KARMELO Anthony, for one reason or another that is frankly at this point seemingly largely irrelevant, was asked to leave, that he didn't belong there. KARMELO allegedly refused, some sort of altercation occurred, at the end of which Austin Metcalf was dead with a stab wound that pierced his heart. Initially, there were a lot of cries of self-defense here, but as the witness statements collected by local Texas police were released publicly, a lot of head-scratching began. There didn't seem to be much, if anything, in these witness statements that defended the self-defense argument. You see, one of the things that is problematic with this, and again, not as a lawyer, but as a layperson that at least has a good civilian understanding of self-defense law after spending so many years being a licensed concealed carry holder, one of the things that you can't do is provoke an individual with an intent to do harm. Meaning, in this case, even if Austin Metcalf was telling Carmelo Anthony to leave, even if he had shoved Carmelo Anthony, even if he had grabbed Carmelo Anthony's wrist and tried to pull him out of the tent or push him out of the tent, the question that the jury now is going to have to ask themselves and answer is, was there a deadly force threat there from Austin Metcalf against Carmelo Anthony? Well, if you listen to the witness statements, there seems to be a lot of doubt there, because nothing that was actually stated in the police reports to what we have seen in the public eye seems to rise to that level. And one of the key pieces in the testimony, or at least the witness statements to police by the witnesses that were on the scene, were that Carmelo Anthony said, "Touch me and see what happens." He then reached into his gym bag where he apparently had a concealed weapon himself, and then waited for Austin Metcalf to take action. That is more or less the legal definition of provocation with intent. Was there a deadly force threat there? Doesn't seem to be. Did Carmelo Anthony reach in and get a weapon from his bag that Austin Metcalf was not aware of until it was too late? That also, according to witness statements, seems to be the case. Carmelo Anthony at this point seems that he's going to have a very tall ladder to climb. And quite frankly, given everything that we know thus far, although not the complete and totality of it, and of course, every person is entitled to the right to a fair trial, and we want nothing more than for Carmelo Anthony to get just that. But the reality is that based on everything we know so far, it's looking like Carmelo Anthony is going to have a very tall ladder to climb, not to spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, if you want a bit more learned opinion, a more learned legal opinion, that is, head on over to, well, what was formerly the law of self-defense. My buddy Andrew Branca out there, now on YouTube as the attorney Andrew Branca Show. Check him out. He has had some incredible insight onto the law behind the Carmelo Anthony situation. Was even on Tim Pool's live show just recently. And there's frankly no better expert, in my opinion, on YouTube when it comes to the law of self-defense. Take care. Until next time, leave a comment.